Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Doctor Who Reviews. This week we're reviewing The Witchfinders, and I'm joined by my two usual special guests. Firstly, to my virtual left, rumours of his demise by bubble wrap have been greatly exaggerated. It's Freezing Inferno.
Hang on. I'm looking through the notes, and have I got this right? Y'all liked Kerblam?
I knew this was going to come up. Haven't you heard, Fresno? Haven't you heard? We came up with the only positive review of Kerblam.
Yeah, I noticed.
The only one on the whole internet. I'm sticking by that.
The only positive Kerblam interview.
Haven't you heard, Frez? That bird is the word?
I fucking knew you were going to do that.
Oh, I love it. And to my virtual right, she loves that voodoo that you do. It's Kat.
You're damn right I do.
Now, usually we just...
ignore my dolls.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. Now, usually we jump straight into the episode. But this week, we have a little bit of a rumour to mull over.
Do we have
Doctor Who rumour alert?
I should point out this is a rumour, so take it with the usual truckload of salt. But
a really, really stupid rumour.
I hope it's a stupid rumour.
Stupid either way, that's so you know.
Cat, please, we've just got started. Starburst magazine reports that Series 12... It's a good rumour to start off with, and then it's bad news. So, Series 12, which went into production about a week ago, will air in autumn of next year and not spring of 2020, as was originally speculated.
Good.
So that's the good part. Here's the bad part, if this is true. Chris Chibnall
It's all going to be in the forest of the night.
No. Worse than that.
No, trust me, there's nothing that's worse than that.
All 10 Kerblams.
Kerblam was not that bad.
Kerblam was not that bad.
I know, you did a whole show about how Kerblam wasn't that bad.
Which I've just found out Kat didn't listen to.
Why would you need to listen to it? He was there!
True. We need those...
I try to listen to it.
We need those view numbers, damn it. Come on.
Yeah, I'm like 5 of those clicks we usually get, so...
So, Chris, the sad thing is I don't actually think you're telling the lie.
No, I only click on it once. I'm not some rube who's going to watch it 5 times. Are you kidding me? This sucks.
Some rube from the Rube Goldberg machine, perhaps. Yeah, Chibnall apparently is unhappy and will leave after the Series 12 is finished.
Interesting.
Yeah, apparently he didn't even want to be the showrunner in the first place, according to this rumour.
Then why did he take the job?
Because the BBC persuaded him.
You can say no.
Let's just say the job moved him to a new house.
You can still say no.
A large part of this is that he doesn't think that this series should be every year, but the BBC does. Because of that, Series 12 will only be 5 or 6 episodes long.
Wait, hold on. He doesn't think this series should be every frickin' year?
Apparently?
Excuse me, but we think this series should be every year, for one thing.
Yes.
We actually like watching the show as much as that seems to boggle your mind.
Well, apparently he wants to do it every 2 years or more. But the BBC don't want that. They want a new series every year. So if this rumour is true, and again we stress if it's true, that's the conflict.
That is the most stupid thing I've ever heard.
What, stupid as in you can't possibly believe it to be real, or stupid that it is real and it's dumb?
It's more stupid than the moon being an egg, let's put it that way.
Oh, God. But it gets worse.
Oh, God, no.
Because if Chris Chibnall does depart the show, then Jodie Whittaker's going to follow him right out the door.
No.
I hate this. No.
Yes, I hate this too, but it has to be addressed. She became a mother for the first time about 18 months ago, I think, or possibly in the last year. And so if she has to do a series every year, new series every year, she thinks she's spending too much time away from her family to do that. Which has given rise to some debate among the fan community. Some of them are saying, well, that's all well and good. Obviously she has that right, and we're not trying to take that away from her. But if she thought that, why take it on in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
maybe she was like,
if it's a job like this, you know what you're getting into.
Which is why I think personally it might not be true, but it could be.
I wouldn't want her to leave so early, not only because, well, she is actually pretty good as the Doctor, but also if she bails out early, that just gives more ammunition to the, shall we say, anti-progressive people who don't like her as the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than likely the Doctor will go straight back to being a guy again.
Oh, yeah. And then it's like, see, ha! You see, the Doctor was a woman to pander, and it fucked up, and she left.
It would be a real would be a real shame in my mind if we went through all this massive amount of change, and in 2 years it's right out the door again.
Like, Chibnall, I am like either or on leaving, but about the only reason I have to want him to stay is the sheer horrible fear that if he leaves, they would hire Toby Whithouse as showrunner.
And on that day, I think we stopped watching it.
Which, oh god, I'll take 6 more kerblams if it means Whithouse isn't on.
Will you stop hating on Kablam? It wasn't that bad.
Oh, I'm just kicking this dead door. I wasn't here to kick it last week. This is me.
It wasn't that bad. It was just evil and insidious, apparently.
Yeah,
Look, okay.
There you go.
As bad as all this is, can we move on to something more lighthearted?
Well, we almost can
the
because
killing of several women.
If nice, if Chibnall and Whittaker do leave the show, this report states that it's unlikely Bradley Washington and Toshin Cole would stay on as, and this is the quote they use, regular companions. So maybe they could come back as guest stars from time to time. The weird thing about this, and it's what makes me question its validity, is that there's no mention of Mandip Gill at all. It says that her status is listed as unknown. So does that mean she's already decided to leave, or is she going to keep on after Jodie Whittaker leaves, or more likely this is all bullshit? I don't know.
Well, only time will tell, I guess.
So let's go away from that depressing thing to something far more harmonious. The murder and execution of several women.
Yes, exactly.
What a fun time!
The Lancashire witch trials then, which was what the whole episode was centred around. Rather interestingly, we are filming this on November 27th, and that's Lancashire Day.
I don't know what that is.
It's to mark. Well, it's to mark the first time the county of Lancashire sent politicians to Parliament.
Okay.
In 1295. In 1295.
So it's North Day. That's what we got here. Northerner Day.
Is that a genuine thing?
No, I don't know.
You said it's so convincing.
You're the one who lives in the country. You tell me.
We just have the midterms, and then we get really, really depressed afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here waiting until Christmas.
I'm getting
Hey,
that way.
at least the good thing is that the Democrats won, so they have the House or Senate or whatever it was. I forget.
They took the House, but it's the Senate they needed to take, I think. But they were never going to do that. Anyway,
No.
yeah. I think Joy Wilkinson did a really good job. From what I know of the Lancashire witch trials, she really did try to make this as authentic as possible, to a point. Obviously, it's a science fiction show. But the background setting, she mostly got that right. Pendle Hill was indeed the legitimate site of witch trials in the 17th century, for example.
Yeah.
And also, some of the accusations, this will amaze you, said it won't, some of the accusations were deliberately false because they were excuses to get people out of land that they owned.
Well, of course they were. In the Salem witch trials, there's a group of women who specifically went around just pretending to be cursed by others in order to get them killed.
Yeah, and it all started with three girls making up for sport, I believe.
Happened.
I'm not as familiar with your country's witch trials as my own country's, but I believe that the Salem witch trials...
about the same.
They're not the same, but I believe they started because three little girls made it up for the sport.
As I said, it was about the same.
Oh, sorry, it was about the same.
It was still someone making up something in order to explain something else or to get back at somebody else, and then everything went crazy.
And we'll talk about her more in depth later, but that's why I thought the character of Becca Savage really worked, because she was a landowner, so it was a nod to this, I thought, that, you know, people would make up these accusations to get people off the land and take it.
Yeah,
that's really clever.
Yeah, I could be reading too much into it.
The fact that she's a woman.
The
woman in that time
one glaring
she would
inconsistency.
Have to establish her power.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you with that. Try again.
No, that's fine. I was just saying that in order to help consolidate her power, that would be the best way for her to regain it, is to just continuously point her finger and say, "Satan!"
Yeah. It's basically the witch episode of The Simpsons.
Yep.
Just point at someone that you don't like and say, "She's a witch." Now, there was one glaring historical error with this, and that's that some of the witches tried in Lancashire in real life were male. But all of them that got drowned by Becca in this episode were female. Now, you could see this as rewriting history. I don't think it is that, personally. I think they're just playing into the stereotype that witches are female.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You could also argue that they only dunked witches and they didn't, or females, and they didn't do that to the males.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, yeah, ducking is associated with women. That's right. I mean, going back to the Salem witch trials, there's an absolutely horrific story of a poor man that was accused, and when he refused to answer if he was guilty or not guilty, he basically had his chest crushed with stones.
Yeah.
In a doorway.
Yeah.
Not a good way to go.
There were several random tests that people took in order to be able to figure out if someone was a witch or not. More than likely, if you were innocent, you then died from that.
Yeah.
That's just the way it went. It's the same thing that happened in the episode with the dunking. If you drowned, then you were innocent, and you would go to God. And if you didn't drown, then obviously you were a witch. And nobody had heard of swimming.
No.
Or floating.
Or Houdini.
I don't think he was alive during that time.
He wasn't. That's what I was telling him to. God damn it.
Well, it's not a very good joke if he doesn't meet up.
It wasn't a joke. It's a reference to what happened in the episode.
Yeah.
It aired 2 days ago, Cat.
Oh,
2 days ago.
Are you done?
Watch this, viewers. You can pinpoint the exact second Rainiac loses his will to live.
You can pinpoint the exact second I lost my shit. Oh my god. But the point I was trying to make before Cat derailed everything again, or caused me to derail it, actually, but most witches were not...
I love corpsing, yes I do. I love corpsing, how about you?
Ready hat corpsing, send for the man. No. Most witches were not burned at the stake if they were found guilty. They were indeed hanged. So again, the story got that bit right. Because Mother Twiston, had she survived the ducking, she would have been hanged. They said.
Yep. Which is a very strange way to try to get rid of a witch, considering that she just survived drowning. But, you know, they were stupid back then.
Well, they were certainly more... I don't want to say backwards, because that sounds insulting.
They were stupid back then.
Simple.
Stupid.
It was a simpler time.
They were stupid back then.
Okay, have it your way.
Thank you.
But
I knew you'd see it my way eventually.
we have this weird juxtaposition. You don't give me any choice, Kat. I always have to see it your way, or
The highway.
yeah, or bad things happen.
Yes.
Like being kidnapped by ninjas.
Hey, don't complain. Look what happened to me in my goddamn bubble wrap.
That wasn't our fault. You picked it up.
We were only in the warehouse because of Cat's goddamn scheme.
No one made you pop it. And you're not
To be
exactly
fair,
blameless
it's
in all
really
of that.
hard.
You're not blameless in all that. You
Really
hired
hard.
her to hire the ninjas.
I mean, carte blanche.
So anyway, we have this weird juxtaposition at the beginning where the Doctor seems to adopt the passivity stance that she's had in the previous episodes. She's like, whatever you do, we cannot interfere with history. And then she goes right ahead and interferes with history.
Okay, see, it's here that I'm finally starting to actually pinpoint down the era, what the Jodie Whittaker era is. And it's this balancing act between being active and being passive, which I'm sure other doctors have this before in spades, but it just feels like Jodie falls more on the passive side. But you can see the teeter-totter. Passive at first, like I said, can't rewrite history, not one line. Then active with, fuck this, I'm not letting this old grandma drown. I'm going to dive in and save her. And then she remains more active for the rest of the episode, trying to stop the whole witch hunt thing. Remains pretty active when the monsters at the end show up. And then we tip back to passive for the denouement with King James. So it's interesting the way that it balances between these things. You've got the more passive Doctor, and then you've got the more active Doctor of like previous incarnations.
Yeah. I'd like to say I'm thinking that maybe this is an effect of the way the Doctor has been in the past, where the Doctor likes to charge in, take command, and try to fix everything. But there's certain times where they can't. They just can't. Usually because it's a fixed point in time, or this person's really important. Hence why they didn't do certain things during the partition.
Well, yeah, but
at the time
they sold it better in the part.
Yeah,
which is why.
But it makes me wonder if the reason that she's so passive most of the time is because she's starting to get a little more worried over her effects on the timelines.
That seems more like a concern for like the 11th Doctor. That shit, making too big a footprint in history and all that shit. Like, if anyone's going to be concerned and be more passive, it seems like it would have been 11, and he just sort of wiped his name from history and just went on his merry way, basically.
Well, yeah, and then that didn't work, so then he went on to try and do more things. The same happened with Capaldi's era, where he tried to do more things, to the point where he interfered a little too much. Let's see, the hybrid and what happened with me.
Ah, yes.
Where he just interferes too much. So this may be, maybe it's not, because honestly we could possibly never know, but maybe this is just Chibnall's way of showing that this Doctor is not only more kind and caring, but she's also worrying about, what she's doing to the timeline itself and her effects of, going in and saving people and doing certain things, because it does have that butterfly effect potential.
That's a neat reading. I would really love if they made it textual so I could get behind a little more, but I like where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like she was really concerned with, Yaz's grandmother, during the partition and trying to make things go that way, so that she stepped up and started trying to figure out what was going on when they realized, hey, this isn't Yaz's grandfather. What's going on? So it's like she wants to take part and make sure history goes the way it's supposed to go, especially so that it doesn't affect anybody around her, especially her companions. But there's still the idea of, if you interfere too much, who knows what could happen.
Well,
Yeah.
this episode's also a special case because Bilhurst Crag, am I getting that right?
Bilehurst Crag, yeah.
Bilhurst Crag isn't in the history books because it was wiped from the history books, so it does sort of give her a free pass to meddle. It's a sort of a predestination. Oh, this was always supposed to be off the record. Anything could happen.
I like that, by the way. I like their explanation for using Bilehurst Crag, because usually if they have like a fictional setting, it's just like, oh, it's a fictional part of, say, Canada, for example, that doesn't exist, but it exists within the context of the show it's in. But here, they actually had a reason for it not being known. I mean, yes, it's fictional, but the reason why you don't know about it is because it was wiped off the map following the events of the episode, and that's neat.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the Doctor ever went to Roanoke, which just completely vanished for no known reason.
Yeah.
It's just sort of one of those blank pieces of history where you could go in and play around a little because nobody knows what happened.
And, of course, the Eaters of Light, where the Lost Legion of the Ninth, and because no one knew what happened to them, there was a loophole there. There was room there to explore it.
Yeah.
So I like that. Now,
it gave you a little bit of wiggle room, but you still had to make sure that, certain things happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd make too much of a wave.
Yeah, it's a bit different here because there really was a Lost Legion of the Ninth. There wasn't a Bilehurst Crag as far as I know. But I thought they handled it rather well.
Well, the one thing that they did have that could have been potentially bad was, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here, was King James. And King James, we'll touch on King James in a minute, but King James wrote a lot of books. I mean, he had a hand in translating the King James Bible, which is the one that we use today, and it is so popularly, used and widely known. So if he had written something down about what had happened at this place, that could be potentially bad.
Yeah. And demonology, I believe, is a real...
One of those things where you have to be careful.
I believe demonology is a real work he wrote.
Yep. It's all about witches, witchcraft, and demons and Satan and all that good stuff.
We will talk more about King James in the context of the episode itself, but the real-life King James, he was, if not obsessed with Satan, certainly fascinated by him.
He was interesting.
Yeah. But going back to the Doctor interfering with history, I think I spent the first 5 minutes of this podcast criticising her somewhat, if she is going to be leaving, but you have to spare a thought for poor old Jodie Whittaker in this scene where she's being ducked. Because this was being filmed in March.
Oh God!
No.
March of this year, and as I can tell you firsthand,
I went twice.
As I can tell you firsthand, from when I went to that school to appear in that Question Time episode, it was extremely cold in March of this year.
Oh jeez.
Then you factor in that they're in the hills of Lancashire, where there's very little protection, and she was in the water soaking wet for about 6 hours in a t-shirt and trousers.
Oh God.
If she is quitting, no wonder, eh?
Jodie, you're our hero.
Well, I'm not doing this again. I quit. She also gets a really good line about which ties into the witch trial. She says, "These are hard times for women. If we're not being drowned, we're being patronised to death."
Yeah, that was the thing that's interesting. This is now correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time in the Whittaker era that her gender and specifically backwards thinking and patronizing of women in the past has gotten in the way of her getting the job done.
I believe so.
Which kind of surprises me.
Which is really weird for me because I thought that all the scripts for Series 11 were written before she was cast.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that there was some tinkering and like second draft stuff going on. Like maybe Joy Wilkinson put out the first draft before she knew who the Doctor was, and then Chibnall or whoever sort of added that stuff in once the new Jodie was cast. I don't know.
Wait, are you telling me the Daily Mirror got something wrong? No.
What?
No, that could never happen.
That's impossible. It's got Mirror in the name. They're always accurate.
But yeah, that's an interesting point because I believe the scripts were all written for a man. Or were supposed to
It
be.
would definitely make demons make a lot more sense because it's a big thing in Muslim religion, and for women to have their hair covered. And while the other two ladies definitely had their hair covered, the Doctor and Yaz did not.
That's more of that's a stranger oversight with Yaz because Yaz is of Pakistani heritage. The Doctor not so much.
But still, even today, when women visit, they have to cover their hair just because it's seen as offensive. Otherwise,
that's in more socially conservative Asian countries, though, like Saudi Arabia.
Well, they still have to do it.
I mean,
and let's see. This is during the time of the partition in India.
Yeah, that's true. Because there was a huge stink. There was a huge stink recently when they ran a wrestling show in Saudi Arabia, and there were women on the show, but they had to be completely covered up. They basically wore bodysuits while they were performing. So the idea of covering up is pretty prevalent in Asian countries, or Middle Eastern anyway. Arabic. I'm trying not to sound like I'm being racist. Islamic countries. There we go.
So misogyny aside, there was a lot of misogyny in this episode.
Was there ever? Nice transition, Kat.
But yeah, it was the sort of thing that you kind of expected, but also it seems a little out of place just because it's Doctor Who.
Yeah. That was like
you really do expect it.
That was like the Box Factory. Kids, instead of talking about sexism today, we're talking about sexes.
God.
But yeah, one of my major criticisms of this episode, and I'll just come out and say it right now, is I felt like it was trying to be too many things at once.
There's about maybe one thing it did that didn't really work for me, but please go on.
Well, there's social commentary on sexism, there's social commentary on bullying, there's social commentary on hatred and intolerance. Then it's trying to be a serious drama, and then later on it's trying to be a campy comedy. And then somehow it's trying to be both at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the whole bullying aspect of it. That is in there, huh?
Yeah. Because Yaz talks about, I think it's Izzy Clark.
Mm-hmm.
A girl she knew at school that bullied her.
And it's mirrored with Willow Twist and Becca Savage. Doctor Who mirror alert!
Yes.
I don't think that's correct. I think they're all one thing, and you're just making them all separate because they seem like they're separate.
Well, that's a fair discussion, and I'm quite happy to be proved wrong, so please.
Well, here's the thing. As we've discussed already, the witch hunts were largely about not just fear, but also the idea of, hey, I don't like this person. I can get rid of them by just saying that they covered me in boils and then I got better and then they weigh the same as a duck and spam, Monty Python bullshit.
She turned me into a newt. I got better.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where the reason that Yaz told that story about being bullied is because, those are the same feelings that they're having now with the whole witch hunt. It's not just about the bullying, it's about the fear, the dread, just knowing that anything could happen because anything really could happen there. They could be picked, they could just cross the wrong person and all of a sudden that other person says that they killed a goat and left it on my doorstep. This episode isn't about bullying and fear and whatever and sexism and all that. It's just about living in a certain time where there is real fear. That's what this episode is about. The idea of hatred being so great and fear being so great that it could drive people almost to the brink of insanity, and yet they're still perfectly sane.
Almost kind of like a parallel to Rose in a way. Well, it's not quite that strong in a sense, but the whole atmosphere of oppression and terror and all that is definitely present, yeah?
Yeah, this is kind of like let's say the movie Clue, where you don't know what the true ending is. There's all these different people running around, and any one of them could legitimately be the true perpetrator. That's why there's so many different endings for the movie Clue, because each one of them could be correct. The same thing happens here, where we don't know who's safe. We don't know who's, going to be next. And that's why it's like, oh, the doctor's next, because she ticked off this one person. That's the fear that they feel during this whole time. So, yeah, Yaz talks about bullying and the king is sexist, but those aren't the main focuses of the story. They're just parts of the entire environment that they live in. Becca Savage has to consolidate her power because she is a woman. So, in order to consolidate her power and to try to save herself, she kills all these women and says that they are witches.
Yeah.
In order to get people behind her, so that
I
they
can't
feel
wait
that
until we
fear.
get to talk about Becca Savage.
Oh, what a good character. Up to a
Well,
point.
we will soon.
By the way, isn't this like the second time in 2 weeks you brought up Clue?
Probably. It's a really good movie. People should watch it.
It is a really good movie.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
remember
good.
being
You've convinced me. All right, all the social commentary stuff we can sort of put into one category.
It's
That's
like,
fair
I
enough.
see where you're coming from. It's just I'm one of those people
But I'm just
where.
wrong.
Well,
So,
no.
in other
In this
words,
case,
Brainiac is
in
wrong.
this case, you're not wrong. In this case, you're not wrong. I'm just saying that it doesn't feel like separate parts of different stories. It feels like one story, and these are all the different facets of it.
Yeah.
Yaz was never targeted by a witch hunt, but she knows that fear through the bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she told that story.
Yeah.
The doctor is usually the one that people turn to, but she has never known true hatred like in sexism. It
By the
all
way,
comes back to just the fear and hatred of being in this time, at this place.
Yeah. By the way, I love the backhanded nature of that compliment where he says, like, you're not wrong this time. Like, every other time, you're completely barking up the wrong tree, mate, but this time, you're not wrong. Well done. Have a pat on the head.
You gotta have one every so often when you might be right.
Gold star for you. Have a pat on the head.
You tried. But yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. I'm just one of those people who I will somewhat analyze a story, but I'm not one of those people who goes in and says, oh, the wallpaper's blue because the person's depressed. I'm one of those people who goes in and says, the wallpaper's blue because someone wanted it to be blue. That's
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
a
not.
cigar.
So
Is
you're
just a cigar.
So you're not into Death of the Author.
No.
I see.
I really, really hated that part of English class where it's just like, here's a poem, explain every single part of it. It's like, no, I don't have to, because number one, we'll never know what the true author says, and number two, I could be so widely off that it's wrong.
What do you think the poet was thinking when he wrote this? I don't know. I don't
Hang on a
care.
second. I want to ask you guys something. Do you know the book Fahrenheit 451?
Yes.
Do you know the basic idea of the book?
Yes.
What is the basic idea behind the book?
Put me on the spot, are you?
Yes.
It's been a long time, honestly, since... I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a long time since I've looked it up.
Well, let's put it this way. Do you remember Fahrenheit 451 in general? Like
I know it's about
like
when
the
books
basic
are
story?
outlawed.
Right.
And they
What
burn
do
in
you
it
think is
found.
the message of the story? What's the message of the story?
That knowledge is dangerous.
Of a sort. The idea was that the writer said that, if I'm remembering this correctly, and I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing because it's been a little while since I've read this, but basically the idea that TV was destroying our minds and books were much better and so on and so forth. Do you know that once he went to a college classroom of people who had read his book, and he was talking to them about it, and they got up and said to his face, to the author's face, that no, that's not what his book was about. his book was actually about censorship. And that's it.
Yeah.
I like these kids.
They went to the author and said, "No, you're wrong about what you wrote in your own book.
Oh
it's
my
actually
God.
about censorship, so shut up."
That is
I
the
love
worst thing.
Yeah.
When people think they know
And
more
that's
than the
why I'm
author of the work.
Yeah. That's why I'm always like, you can't really take analysis seriously just because everybody has their own different analysis of a story. Everyone sees things a different way. That's why I'm saying, like, I see things this way, but you're perfectly fine to see things in, like this one part was about bullying, this part was about sexism, so on, so forth.
Yeah. I do know that Ray Bradbury wrote Fahrenheit 451 in the wake of the McCarthy witch trials, not actual witch trials, political witch trials. The Red Scare, communism.
Yeah, but he said very vehemently that it was not about censorship in any form at all. It was about the effects that TV and other media could have on us, which I can definitely see in that.
Yeah. Who am I to disagree with the actual author of the actual book?
Yeah. I mean, I disagree with J.K. Rowling all the time because she came up with friggin' Cursed Child, but,
Oh, God.
I still, and, Newt Scamander and all those movies, which I absolutely despise, and I'm still mad about the fact that the genie is now a friggin' woman, and I'm going to stop now because otherwise I will go on a rant. But I still recognize that she has authority because this is her world. This is what she made.
Cat presents a video essay, The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Oh, don't even get me started. I haven't even seen the movie yet, and I'm already pissed off.
You could be the new Cinema Sins. No, actually, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Never mind a friend.
Oh, trust me. There was one time our friend Mike, who watches the show, he decided to tell me I was wrong about something that happened in Harry Potter, and he regretted that.
Oh, he certainly did.
I immediately went, "Oh, so you want to talk about Harry Potter?" He's like, "No, never mind, I'm sorry."
The right decision. Our companions don't really get that much to do in this one. There isn't really a lot to talk about. We've already touched on Yaz and the bullying thing. Ryan gets perhaps the most to do with his interactions with King James. Graham gets a nice hat.
Which the doctor takes.
Well, he gives it to her, but yes.
Yeah.
Graham has a nice hat for about 20 minutes.
He has a nice hat with a hole in it from where the last guy got shot through it by the king.
Yes!
That's what Graham has.
It wasn't there for
he
protection.
He has a dead man's hat.
It wasn't there for protection. It was for status and to look swish.
He did look swish, though, didn't he?
It was there so that the king knew where to aim.
Jesus.
I don't think the kid did the shooting somehow.
You don't know.
He had Alfonso for that.
You might not have.
He had Alfonso for shooting. Oh, poor Alfonso.
Kevin.
Yeah, the minute he went on about how much of a good protector he was, I knew that dude's cast were marked.
God. And he was only 2 days away from retirement. Ah, shit. And now I'm marrying you.
Fuck. It's come full circle, ladies and gentlemen. We're mirroring each other now, apparently.
I've infected you all!
Oh, God.
Mirrors.
Yes.
That was my contribution.
Alan coming, though.
I can't keep this cork in the bottle any longer, guys. I'm sorry. I have to pop it.
Oh, boy.
We need to talk about King James. What was this portrayal?
And I would like to tell the viewers that before, when we first found out that Alan Cumming was going to be in this series, before all the episodes started airing, Rainiac was like, "Oh, he's a good actor. He's a great actor. Just wait, he'll be amazing."
He is a good actor.
And then this episode came up, and he did not pull out any of the performances that you talked about. No.
We didn't get the good wife.
Spy kid.
We didn't get the good wife Alan Cumming. We didn't get Instinct Alan Cumming.
He pulled out his son of the mask.
We got Spy Kids.
You got fucking Spice World Alan Cumming is what you got.
Was he in that?
He was in that.
Yes.
Oh God.
He was the reporter who kept following them around.
I've actually blocked that film from my memory. It's like Anna Kendrick not remembering she's in Twilight.
No, but Alan Cumming, from the first moment he spoke on screen, I was like, oh my God, is that what he's going with? I love this. And then the second words out of his mouth were sexist dribble, and I was like, oh my God, I hate this character.
What was that accent?
Yeah,
that was the Great Gazoo Alan Cumming.
Really?
Yes, he was in the live action version of the Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas.
Yeah.
Great Gazoo.
She's right.
Oh my God.
She's right.
That was the Smurfs Alan Cumming.
Oh, Jesus.
Both of them.
This was more. This version of King James, this version of Alan Cumming had more ham in it than a butcher's shop.
That was Reaper Madness, Alan Cumming.
Speaking of ham, Rainiac, have I introduced you to a little classic story called The Horns of Naiman?
I believe you have, yes.
Because that is the gold standard for hammy performances.
Oh, no. This might top it. This might top it.
I don't know. It's hard to judge, but what a interesting portrayal.
That's one word for it.
Oh, it was interesting. That's a word to describe it.
That's
for
one
sure.
word for it. It's interesting. Yes. More.
I prefer the word piss poor, but yeah, sure. Let's go with interesting.
Just the dissonance of it is fascinating. Here's a character who is spouting sexist pandering drivel towards the Doctor and actively wants to hunt witches and kill innocent people. And at the same time, he's playing it like a comedy buffoon. It's just the mental gymnastics you need to keep track of this shit are nothing short of fucking amazing.
I think he thought he was in Panto.
I mean, Doctor Who and Panto have well before. I mean, look at Paradise Towers. El Sandifer has called it Children's Panto J.G. Ballard.
Yeah, and that somehow worked.
That worked.
Whether this works or not,
So
the jury's out on this one.
I guess.
I mean, he
This
did
is Garfield the movie, Alan Cumming.
Okay, Cat, we get it.
No, you don't.
I just look up his Wikipedia page to see what he's been in.
Yes. He was in Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
The movie, not the show.
I will say this: it was clear that he was having a blast the whole time he was playing this role.
Wait, he was the voice of Black Beauty? I like that film.
So good for him, I guess.
Well, he's got one good thing under his belt.
He was having a yeah. Golden, I would like to have a word with you, but
He's got one good thing under his belt.
I walked into that, didn't I?
Just a bit.
Like a rake on the ground.
Holy shit, Boris Gravinka was a sexist ass too. Oh my God.
Yeah, this has completely thrown me off my game.
This was just
You don't even know how to
performance.
Let's just focus on how he came into the episode in the first place, because this was amazing.
So
he's sneaking around in the background. He's sneaking around the background in a goddamn plague doctor's get-up.
Because that's normal.
And when he arrives at Lady Temperature's house, he takes off to the skies, and it's like it's a goddamn 17th century tuxedo mask.
And just like Tuxedo Mask, he's an ineffectual idiot who doesn't do anything.
That's why the comparison works. And I'm going to point out, for those of you that are currently listening to this and you've got the screen turned off, please turn the screen back on, because I'm about to put up some editing that Kat did. You've got to see this.
I am a true artiste.
Article 13,
You are,
be damned,
as
we're
they
showing
say.
it.
Oh, get
As
it while it's
soon as
hot,
you
kids.
said that,
'Cause once
the
Article 13
idea
comes,
popped
YouTube is
immediately
killing
in my
this.
mind.
I will
I
most
just had to do
likely I will most likely be thrown into copyright jail for this when Article 13 gets made the law next year. But you know what? It's worth it. Oh, that was just amazing.
Ediac, while you're violating copyright, I'm going to give you another thing to put up on your podcast in the moment here.
Well, whether or not it goes up is up to me, but
Yes.
while he's looking for that,
This is you after Article 13. You might as well put it on the screen. You've already broken the law.
okay, that's totally worth it as well.
Yes. I mean, you've already violated copyright. We can do anything now.
Oh, my sides hurt. Oh. Yeah, so he's so over the top. Going back to Homecoming. Oh, this is the best podcast I've done in ages. It's making me laugh so hard.
Christ.
I'm gonna be a little bit serious here. I did not like this performance at all.
I can understand that.
It took me so far out of it. It's like, all right, I get that they needed something to make this a little less, doom and gloom, especially with the fact that, 36 women had already been killed. 36, yeah. So I understand that they needed a little bit of brevity in order to make it not, a complete depressing thing. But also, this was not the way to do it, guys. I really did not like his performance.
This is niche.
Apparently, though, a lot of people did. A lot of people liked it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's good enough.
It's bizarre.
Well, no. This is the thing that gets me. I'm looking at the review scores, and literally everybody gave it 4 stars out of 5 or B+, except the Radio Times, who gave it 2 stars.
You know what I like in this too? Because you're right. Some people really hated this portrayal, like yourself. Some people thought it was the best thing about the entire episode because it was so damn entertaining.
You want to know something really, really weird? There's one review score here that's 4 out of 5 stars. Can you guess who put it up?
Oh, was it Clint Hassel?
The Daily Mirror. The Daily Mirror really liked this episode.
Oh, God, now I have to dislike it out of principle.
They've hated everything else as far as I know. How the hell did they find this one to be the one they liked?
Maybe Alan Cumming paid them some money, I don't know.
I don't know, maybe. That's entirely possible.
Let's just say it moved them to a new house.
Yeah, this performance was just not something I liked. It didn't appeal to me at all.
To me, he sums up the problem I was saying earlier about how they weren't quite sure if it was a comedy or a serious drama. Because to me, that is absolutely depicted in this portrayal of King James I, because he's a comedic buffoon for some of it, and then he has these really serious, grounded moments, and personally, when he had the grounded moments, I thought he was a lot better.
Yeah, so did I. I actually liked those moments, like when he was talking to the doctor while she was tied up to the tree.
That's a highlight.
I really liked that moment.
That's a real highlight.
But when he starts going oh, I'm the best that ever been. I know everything there is to know about witch hunts. It's just like, shut up. But the thing is, he didn't have to do that.
No.
He could have played it straight, and either he or the director or somebody else just said, no, keep doing that. That's good.
My guess, the director. Because Alan Cumming in real life is
Sally,
the real life...
Eprahaman? I can't pronounce that last name.
I know who you mean,
Sally.
yeah.
I can't pronounce that last name, I'm sorry.
If it was her decision, she may need to get fired, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this isn't Joy Wilkinson's fault because she just wrote the script. She did not put in the inflections And had most of his lines been said by someone who wasn't overacting and chewing the scenery, then, it would have sounded legitimate. But here it's just like, no, honey, no.
I mean, that sort of overacting performance sometimes works. I mean, you know me, I was a diehard fan of John Sims' Master, but even I will admit that sometimes he chewed the scenery too much.
I escaped.
Well, that wasn't him, but yeah. Specifically John Sims.
That's the best part of overacting I remember.
Oh, yes. Anthony Ainley.
Yes.
How are you here, Master? I escaped!
And the whole skeleton thing from John Sims.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Sometimes he would chew the scenery too much. And I will admit this, despite being a diehard fan. But there's chewing the scenery, and then there's this. Where he's chewing so much scenery, there's no scenery left to chew.
There's chewing the scenery, and then there's so much ham that you put it in a sandwich to chew the scenery with.
He devoured the set. He was chewing that much scenery.
There were no trees left in that set because he ate them all and then turned them into torches and burned people.
I mean, I do know in real life Alan Cummings camp as a row tent. He is. He just is.
Yeah,
so maybe
and
that
I'm
was
fine
it.
with that. I don't care how people act when they're in real life or anything like that. You do you. I don't care. It's just when you're doing something like this, it kind
I'm
of
not criticising him for being camp as a row tent. I'm just stating a fact. He is as camp as a row tent.
Oh no, I'm just saying I don't give two shits at all.
Yeah.
He could do that if he wants to. It's just when it comes to something like this where everything else is doom and gloom, sure, you can be a little bit of a comedy relief, but don't
and I think what's worse about this is, how I said Joy Wilkinson got most of the historical authenticity spot on?
Yes.
She didn't with King James so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bits about him being obsessed with fighting Satan, that's true. The bits about him being fascinated with witch trials, that's true. He actually did attend several witch trials, although curiously, he interceded on behalf of the witch.
He was very pro-religion. He was extremely religious man.
He was pro-religious. He was a big fan of skepticism and logic.
Yeah, so I'm sure that when people came up and said that, this person did this, he was probably like, where's your proof?
Yeah. Sometimes he was on the side of the accuser. Sometimes he was on the side of the accused. There's none of that here.
Yeah, this is just straight out. Everybody's a witch. Burn everything.
Maybe when he orders Becca to bring Doctor up from the ducking, maybe there's a bit of that in there. The real King James is a fascinating character, by the way. All that stuff about how his mother was executed and his father died when he was 1, and he saw her as abandoning him. That's all true.
Yeah. Plus, there's the fact that, he was a huge part of history. Not only did he have, like I said before, the King James Bible, which is something that Christianity still uses today. There's the fact that he was, present when the gunpowder plot went off.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
He was the king. He was the king in 1605 when the gunpowder plot was supposed to take place.
Dang.
Remember the 5th of November.
Yeah. There has been some debate as to whether or not that was actually a genuine thing or if they were just set up. We'll probably never know. He had a fantastic nickname as well, did King James I. He had the title of the wisest fool in Christendom. So he was a bit of a sort of a two-faceted character, hence wisest fool in Christendom.
Yeah.
Like, he was very knowledgeable on certain subjects, but he was completely ignorant on others. And I suppose that's what they were trying to go with the comedy and then the serious, but it just didn't work for me.
No, not really.
If it worked for you, fantastic.
Yeah, have fun with that.
We're not here to tell you what you can and cannot like.
Well, I am. You all are wrong, and you should absolutely hate this performance.
The wise one has spoken. The wise one has spoken, ladies and gentlemen. Be warned. They did get his bisexuality right, at least.
Yeah.
There was a Marquis that was rumoured to be his lover that he heaped titles and favours on, and there's a hint of that.
I want to say there was two men. There were two men that were rumored to be his lovers, and then one woman.
Yeah. Hence bisexual.
Yeah.
He also was...
Along with his wife.
You say he was very religious, and he was, because he was committed to Protestantism, but he actually converted to a Catholic on his deathbed. So a fascinating man. Unfortunately, we just got somebody who was more hammy than a giant plate of bacon.
Well, I mean, he looked the part at least. He actually looked like King James.
Yeah,
so there's
he looked the part, but that was about it.
That's it. But he looked. He looked the part.
He made me laugh, but not in a good way. If that makes any sense. Like I couldn't help laughing at his antics. But it wasn't because I found them particularly funny. They were so ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I get you. It worked overall for me, but I understand if you don't like the campy nature of it.
Yeah.
That's really just sort of hit. I like.
Thankfully,
For God's sakes, I love the Underwater Menace. I like when Doctor Who gets weird and campy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and campy can be fun and good. I mean, that's what we enjoyed with the superhero episode.
Mysterio.
Dr. Insano? Dr. Insano, my God, it's not Spoony one. Dr. Mysterio.
There's a name I haven't heard in ages.
There's a good reason for that. No, the return of Dr. Mysterio.
I miss him. But yeah, Mysterio, where we had like all that campy superhero bull. It's like, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just here it was a lot more serious and a lot more real and didn't really
I get
fit for me.
I get where you're coming from.
Who's that
So,
falling
I'm
out?
glad you enjoyed it. I am glad you enjoyed it.
Who's that falling out the sky? DOC Mysterio. Here we go.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Thankfully,
Anyways.
our other major guest star was a lot better.
Oh, this is probably the highlight of the episode for me.
Lady Becca Savage, as portrayed by Siobhan Finneran.
Absolutely.
She did this perfectly.
What a good character.
So, I mean, she's pretty much a larger-than-life Witchfinder, but it's the end of her plot, so to speak, the big climactic reveal after she tries to duck the Doctor that really stood out for me, personally.
We'll get on to that. Let's just talk about her by herself.
Okay.
And how much sense her character made.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it all, too.
I mean, the problem is, in order to talk about it, you really do have to discuss her overall motive. But I just love the fact that we've got a really compelling, believable human villain.
See, what she reminded me of in that same sort of religious zealotry and utter determination that she was in the right and holy and fighting against sin was Frollo from Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
She definitely had that same sort of somebody like that act like that, in that they're being sort of hypocritical, where they are the ones sinning, but they're trying to amend for it by purging other sin from the community. So Frollo, you had been trying to get after the Romans.
I would say it's less purging sin and more that she was so afraid for her own soul and trying to get rid of it that she decided that the best way would be to expel the witches. So she was definitely self-serving there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what gets to it too. The whole little subplot there about the fear and all that and bullying. In the end, she is just a bully. She's wielding her power. She's just scared and frightened.
I would say it's less a bully and more a stone-cold murderer, but you do you.
Well, yeah, she killed 36 people.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Including members of her own family to save her skin.
Yeah. But you get where I'm coming from. The oppressive atmosphere of fear that she created by her presence is akin to bullying, which is part of the thematic link of the episode. But she is also, a very bad killer lady. But a villain that you can honestly look at and say, yes, I understand. I can understand where you're coming from. I don't agree, but with your background background and your strong beliefs, we understand why she thought killing 36 people to save her in her mind the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a bit weird on you guys.
Can I interject real quick?
Oh, yeah,
Randy,
sure, go ahead.
when the Classic Who Marathon, did either of you see the Ambassadors of Death?
No.
Any?
I think I might have done, but I can't remember it.
Well, anyway, the villain there is an army general who's doing bad things for what he believes is the right reason. At the end, arrested, he turns to the doctor and he says, "I had to do it, doctor. It was my moral duty. You understand, don't you?" I feel like that's kind of the ending. If Becca Savage had been arrested for stuff, that she would have said something like that. And I find both that general from that Pertwee story and Becca Savage utterly compelling.
She wouldn't have been arrested. She'd have been beheaded.
Well, yeah, but you
I
understand.
also don't think she would have said she had to do it. I think she would have said that, it's what needed to be done.
Yeah.
She would not have felt any remorse at all for it.
But you understand where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Now,
then
weird on you, or
the other thing happens.
Oh, we're getting onto that
Well,
now,
can
are
I
we?
get weird on you?
Well,
weird on
we
you?
can't get onto it, but I'm sure you.
Cat wants to get weird, so let her get weird for a
Get weird.
second.
Let's get nuts.
So, do you guys happen to know about a little show called My Little
Oh
Pony?
boy.
If you don't, I completely understand, but I'm actually kind of a fan of the rebooted series. And this will come as possibly a shock to you, but there was an episode almost exactly like this one in the show.
How many ponies were drowned?
None, thankfully, but the basic idea is that there's a pony who... let's start by explaining that each pony has something called a cutie mark, and that cutie mark dictates what their talent is. So, like, one pony's really good at being a farmer, one's really good at hairdressing, so on and so forth. You take the cutie marks away, they no longer have that talent.
Oh, so it's Horse Danganronpa.
Yeah, essentially. So there's this one pony that goes into a town and she says, "Hey everybody, none of us are equal because all of our cutie marks and all of our powers and abilities are all different. That means that we're better than people. So let's get rid of them in order to be equal and be true to each other." So that's what she does. She essentially takes away all of their special talents in order to make everybody exactly the same, except for herself. She keeps hers so that she can continue stealing all of these marks so that eventually she'll be the only one with power left. That's her main idea.
Yeah.
And that's what Becca here kind of reminded me of, was someone doing horrible things to other people in order to serve themselves, because that's what Becca was doing the entire time. She chopped down the tree because it was blocking her view. She went and killed all those women because she was trying to get rid of the evil inside of her own body.
Yeah.
She killed her grandmother because her grandmother knew the secret, and that's the only reason why she was killed.
Yeah.
She tried to kill the doctor simply because she was getting way too close to the truth.
And would have gone after her friends next.
A very, very selfish, self-serving woman.
Oh, self-centered in the extreme.
Yes.
But just a
This
really
is not someone
well-written...
who would have felt bad.
No. Just a really well-written villain. I mean, the Frollo comparison was spot on. Funny if you brought up My Little Pony, she shot the horses, of course.
Yes, for some reason, horses are Satan, so... Okay.
I think that was just showing how far off the deep end she'd gone.
My Little Satanist, sure.
Oh, God! That's a toy range waiting to be made, isn't it? My Little Satanist.
I can tell you right now, it probably exists someplace.
And the cutie mark is just a pentagram. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, God, what have you done to me? Oh.
I can tell you right now, someone has made a pony that is that.
God.
I don't doubt it. But no, I just think that also the whole thing with the Doctor facing sexism in this episode, Becca doesn't really face that. She's had to overcome the natural limitations of her gender in the context of the period. Again, not trying to be a bigot, but in the context of the period, natural limitations of her gender, to become the most powerful figure in the village. And
which would have been extremely difficult to do, just because, again, she's a woman who owns land, which is not something that happened.
Which she inherited from her dead husband. She only got the land because her husband died.
Yes. I wonder why he died, Becca.
Do you think he might be witch number 1?
Maybe.
Did they say all the witches that have been tried and executed were female? I can't remember.
If they ever actually said. I know they said that she killed 36 women.
Yeah.
But that's all that they said.
And also, the idea that she was prepared to destroy the entirety of the village populace in order to quote unquote save them. Now, of course, you find out later she's actually saving herself in doing that.
Yeah.
But, whoa, that's chilling.
Here's a question: did you guys happen to see if there were 36 corpses that were following after them?
No, there were 5. There were 5.
So the question is, could they just not get out, or is it because there were only 5 left?
Could be there was only a few more acts that we were able to get out of the prison. Could just be that they didn't want to have 36 people cast.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in the context of the fact that men were also killed. Maybe we're just not seeing the entire picture.
Probably not.
I'm trying to save this, okay, from being too sexist.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Because it's a period piece, because it's a historical, I think that's okay, honestly.
Yeah, because during this time you could be sexist, unlike the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time.
Oh, don't even go there.
I went there.
I know you did, but please don't go there again. No, I just loved this character. I think it's the most compelling villain we've had in quite some time.
She definitely felt real.
Pretty great, I must say.
Because Oliver King James is a pseudo-villain, but she's out and out a villain.
Yeah, she's actually like a villain and not a camp idiot.
I mean, it would have been so easy. It would have been so easy to make this character a cartoon caricature. And I think that's credit to the writer and to the actress, in particular the actress, for not doing that. And then, unfortunately, a thing happened to Becca, and she got a lot less compelling.
Now, I know Kat is on board with this, but we're going to make a case for the prosecution here. Do you want to, or should I try to talk about it?
We can both do it if you want.
Oh, yes, let's. This dual attorney bullshit. Sucks. It just sucks. Like,
this is not the 3-way I was expecting when you invited me.
Oh God!
Oh no, Kat, that's after the podcast.
Fres! I expect that from her. I do not expect that from you.
Oh, don't be so close-minded, honey.
You had one job.
Talk about mirrors?
Again?
You had 2 jobs.
So, the Morax. We've talked about how Becca Savage was with, and, well, in the background, we've had a pretty interesting and macabre ride of reanimated corpses that are animated by alien mud, which is interesting. You don't know what it's coming to, but it's still a pretty neat little sci-fi edition. Makes a standard pseudo-historic Doctor Who. And then it's revealed Becca Savage was possessed by them and fighting it off. That's why she did what she did. But then she gets fully possessed. And she just goes full mustache twirl. We are the Morax. We're going to take over because we're bad. And it just massively drags things down. When we had this compelling villain, and now we just got generic alien mud for the last 5 minutes of the episode, which I don't care for.
What was with that voice filter?
I did a voice filter?
No, not you. The Morax.
I don't know.
That
evil demonic
that
shit.
goofy demonic voice.
I don't know.
I don't even know if that was Siobhan Finneran or someone else doing another voice.
Point is, it's almost like a what's it called? The Unquiet Dead.
The Unquiet Dead. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's almost identical to that and the Gelf, the way the Gelf operated in that story.
Well, the Gelf at least played for sympathy at first. Feeling, oh no, actually, we're bad.
Yeah.
Here, the Marks don't even try. They just as soon as they possess Becca, they're like, we're bad.
Yeah.
Massively disinteresting. It turns things, and the sci-fi plot isn't even done that much. Like the Doctor gets to light an alien tree on fire, and they burn up the mud monster. Another thing happens to get into with the denouement. The end.
Yeah, it was very rushed.
Yeah, but Kat has a defense for it, which is a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
Yes, if you two simpletons are done, we're going to have the educational corner where I tell you how you're wrong.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And stupid. But here's my take on the Morax. The Morax are just, they're pretty run-of-the-mill. They're just, here's a monster in Doctor Who because Doctor Who always needs some sort of monster to fight or just exist or whatever needs to be in the story. That I can understand you guys saying because it is just one of those monsters. What you seem to be missing is what the Morax represent. They're an infection. They hit Becca first off, and then she starts this whole wave of fear and hatred and, anxiety and all of these things that happen during the episode because that's what they are. They are the physical embodiment of hate and fear. So when they infect her, she starts killing people, which gives them more tools to be able to put more fear into people by bringing back the living dead. So when they do come at the end, of course they're going to be all like, we're going to destroy the world because that's what they're there for. They're there to show that hate does exist in the world and you can defeat it. But, there's still the chance they could go on and so forth. That's what they represent. They're not just there to be, I'm the bad guy all of a sudden, blah, 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 blah. They're there to be, a physical representation of the hate that envelops and consumes this town, stemmed from the infection of one woman, something that the Doctor can easily go in and defeat, who is currently the symbol of hope and love.
Yeah. That's a good take on it.
It's pretty good.
I like the take on it, and certainly the idea that they infected Becca and then she started killing people and they were able to possess the bodies. That's a great point.
That's fun.
Yeah, and again, I'm one of those people who I absolutely hate when people go way too deep into something, but this, I think, is something that you can easily see on the surface. Something that you can easily interpret. But you guys can also see your way, where you just see a generic monster coming out of nowhere in order to be, all scary.
I don't hate the Morax.
Skeletons.
It's not that I hate the Morax. It's just I prefer the human portrayal of Becca.
Yeah, for me, all the stuff you're saying is great, but they already pretty much had it for me with Becca Savage, and thus didn't need to turn her into a generic alien monster.
If they had just had Becca. If they just kept on the concept of mud leaking out of her eyes with Becca, and maybe played that up a bit, and made her a bit more monstrous, but still at her core human, or just turned into one of the mud corpses that was shambling along behind her, but she's still talking.
Well, here, let me ask you this then. Or rather, let me try putting it this way. When you have someone who is evil, but not exactly evil, like how Becca was, because she was evil. She was killing people off. That was pretty bad, and she was doing it for her own selfish reasons. That's even worse. She still thought that she was, essentially doing God's work. She was trying to somewhat help people in her own way, even though she was also doing it for completely selfish reasons. You know, she was trying to erase Satan, which is what she thought her infection was. She thought it was Satan trying to take her over. So she, at the end, when she was starting to be taken over by the Morax Queen, she was like, Satan has come inside me, help me, stop this from happening. And that's exactly what the Morax are. It's not Becca who's talking there. It's the Morax.
Yeah.
It's all that fear and hatred overwhelming her and turning her into a monster.
I think
this is no longer the same character. This is not Becca.
Yeah.
This is someone completely different.
Okay. I think Morax Becca, she certainly has a look going for her. I think she looks fine. She looks like she stole her hair from Bette Midler in Hocus Pocus, but she looks fine.
Well, she was technically a witch now, so
there you go.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that having something for the Doctor to definitively does help with the whole the Doctor needs to be more active criticism I've had of series. It's what comes in the end. You know, it's a little better for me here. Put it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, again, I completely understand where you guys are coming from. I just saw the version where, you know, the Morax wasn't just a generic Doctor Who villain. The Morax were, they literally said themselves that they were going to bring fear and hatred to Earth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what the Doctor was fighting against.
Do you remember back in the day when we reviewed Hellbent with Kacheri? And I mentioned
I remember for certain things about that review, yes.
Well, the actual episode itself we were talking about, and I said that while I didn't have a problem with the regeneration of the General into his female form, so to speak, I would have preferred to see Ken Bones on screen a bit more. And here, I would have preferred to see Siobhan Finneran on screen a bit more before she turned into the Mud Monster. That's all it is.
I gotcha.
I was enjoying her portrayal.
I completely understand. She was pretty fun.
Yeah. I was enjoying her portrayal of Becca, and I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that, but I understand why they did it the way they did. There's a couple more discrepancies briefly about the Morax. They kill Alfonso, but they don't fill him. Did the actor have to catch a train or something? Could he not be on the set more than a day?
How did they kill him again? I can't remember.
They just blasted him.
Sonic boom.
The same blast that hits Team TARDIS, and they're fine.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's the fact, like Becca was, you know, she was hit by the mud, and she was injected with the mud, so they could take her over.
Yeah.
The other people were dead, and they were in the dirt, so that was easy to take over. Maybe they just couldn't take him over because he hadn't been hit by and infected by the mud, and he hadn't been...
Just kill him and then infect his body. Anyway. Going to briefly touch on the other character of note that we saw in this, because I thought she did quite well. Wyler Twiston.
She was cute.
Not bad, yeah.
She has a link to Doctor Who in a roundabout way. The actress's name is Tilly Steele. She appears in the series Victoria on ITV, and the star of Victoria is Jenna Coleman.
Hey!
Mirror Girl.
Yeah, she's also from Barrow, which is in Lancashire. Although she now lives in London, but she is a Lancashire actress. Just really getting started in her career, but I thought she did good. I thought this was a good character. Her portrayal of the Doctor annoyed me when I was watching it the first time.
It makes sense, though, in the context of everything.
It makes perfect sense. I get the blood is thicker than water, but Becca not only executed their grandmother, she was going to do the same to Wyler.
First off, that wasn't a blood thicker than water moment. It was more, she was absolutely terrified of what happened to her if she had sided with the Doctor.
Yeah.
And two, that's not the actual quote.
Okay. But she did say they were going to try Wyler next. And then the Doctor stepped in. And that's the thing. The Doctor saved her, and yet she turned on her.
Well, yeah, because had she not, it could have been the Doctor and Wyla
True.
on that.
I do
dunking
understand that.
branch.
I do understand that. It did lead to a nice
So,
moment of redemption at the end.
Yeah, the fact is that she's been living in this for at least 36 murders. So, of course, I'd be very, very terrified as well and not want to do anything to push myself out into the limelight.
Yeah, but she does get what I like to call a nice character arc. Capped off when she decides to abandon her fear and she leads the team to Pendle Hill to confront the Morax. And she puts her Grains to rest. Oh, and then she becomes a doctor, of course.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I also like the illusion that, remember back in Listen, that fear, it can be a superpower if used correctly?
Yeah.
Well, the doctor says to her, a little bit of scared isn't a bad thing.
Nice.
And I can see where she's coming from. I mean, if fear is in a huge amount, it can be paralyzing, it can even be fatal. But a little bit of fear isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, even courage. Courage is defined as being scared, but still being able to do the right thing despite that.
Yeah.
Courage is not having no fear. Courage is about having fear and then getting over it.
I thought she was good. On the scale of the three main guest stars, we've got Becca at the top, then Wyler, and then down at the bottom in garbage tier, King James I.
Oh.
I'm sorry. If you enjoy this portrayal, I'm sorry. I'm not invalidating your beliefs and your viewpoints. It just didn't work for me. But you're
wrong.
He just didn't work for me. Personally, he did not work for me.
No, Frez, that only works for me. Only I can say he's wrong. Brainiac, you're completely right. He just does not work.
Hey. Shall we go into the overall thoughts then? Because we've talked a lot about this episode.
We really have.
Yeah.
Well, we spent like 15 minutes talking about rumor shit.
Yeah. No, it wasn't 15 minutes. It was more like 5. But anyway. Kat, ladies first.
Oh, I see. We're going to do ladies first, huh?
On the Witch episode.
I was being polite.
I know, I'm messing with you.
I know. I know as well. Stop that laugh.
I liked the episode. I enjoyed, I like drama when it's not, like 50 minutes of it. I really don't like drama movies. They're terribly boring. But when it's a nice episode like this, where there's a significant amount of drama, where there is a chance that certain people could die, I do enjoy these kinds of episodes. Alan Cumming did take me out of it just a bit, but, that's something that is just, it just happened. It's something I can get over. All in all, I felt that the actors were great. I really liked the messages that they had in this. I liked the speeches that they had in this. It was a fun episode. Well, not fun, but it was more fun than Rosa, let's say that.
Okay. Fresno?
This is really good. Like, it sort of technically would be middle for the season, but the fact that it doesn't take any major missteps, like, say, Arachne K or Lamb, it does put it a little higher, personally. It's got a great premise. There's a lot more of the Doctor being active. It's got great characters, a really damn compelling, great motivation. One of the best we've had in the show. Shame about the ending, but that only dings it by maybe a star if I was the type of person to rank this shit by, but I'm not. And, well, King James burning the witch and getting away again with the ire is not as bad as it was for me, because I understand it's a historical show and the Doctor is rather history in that regard, because that's not really the show Doctor Who is. But that was just minor gripes. I would put it, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, somewhere around there. Which is funny because all the episodes I've loved this season are the historical ones. Rosa, this.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, Kerblam, when it came out, was a very spotty third because it's very good, but it's also insidious. But it's very good, and that counted for a lot when I watched it initially. Like those first 40 minutes of first viewing, wow! But this is not the Kerblime review. I'm not popping any goddamn bubble wrap, and Witchfinders is a solid episode.
And you're still wrong about Kerblime.
Please!
It's not Insidious, dude. It's not Insidious.
We'll have to agree to disagree there. But what did you think of the Witchfinders?
I thought it wasn't terrible. I thought it was a mixed bag for me. It feels, like I say, like Joy Wilkinson tried to make this episode two things at once. She tried to make it a campy comedy and then a serious drama. And sometimes the balance worked and sometimes it didn't. The conclusion felt rushed, which might explain why this episode had the shortest runtime to date of Series 11. It ended in 45 minutes, not the 50 it was allocated. I do think that Becca Stevens was a huge plus, as you say, a fantastic villain, and one I think will live in the memory for many years to come, or at least until she got the Mudpat treatment, but Kat's gone away to explaining why that was necessary, and honestly, I think she has a point. And I have to just go back to Alan Cumming. Again, he clearly had fun. That's great. Actors should have fun while they're playing parts like that, but I just couldn't take him seriously. He made me laugh, but not in a good way. So I would say it's near the bottom for me, but that's just because I'm going to say it, I enjoyed Kerblime so much, and Demons was so good, and Rosa was so powerful. I think this even ranks below Arachnids for me. Because I prefer Robertson.
I think we can all agree that so far there's not been a bad episode this series. Not your typical bad
maybe
episode.
Shiranga Conundrum, but that's debatable.
That's not really bad. It's just mediocre.
Bland.
I'm talking like In the Forest of the Night.
Yeah, it
I'm
doesn't get to those
talking
levels.
Lie of the Land.
Speaking of In Forest of the Night, let's hope we don't get to those levels for next week, because we have next time It Takes You Away.
It's not Halloween, mate.
We know so little about this one. The trailer was about 10 seconds long. It showed a cottage in modern-day Norway with a chimney but no smoke. We know from other materials that there's a frightened girl played by a legitimately blind actress. And that's about all we know about it.
It feels like it's going to be
the fact. If it wasn't for the fact that it's not the Christmas episode, I would say it's the Krampus that's coming, but it's not the Christmas episode. So.
I don't know what's coming. Maybe It Is the House itself.
Oh, don't tease me like that.
Maybe this will be like a cabin in the woods type scenario.
It'll be Netflix's The Ritual.
I honestly don't know. You know what? I think that's a good thing that we don't know.
Hell yeah.
There's always
we'll find out on Sunday.
There's always one episode that comes out of left field a bit and people know less about than the others. And for me, this is it.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't know much about Saranga. It was announced, right?
We knew more about it than this one. We didn't know about the Pateng, you're right, but we didn't know that they deliberately kept the monster hidden, and they deliberately kept the threat of this one hidden. Let's just hope it's better than Saranga.
Here's hoping.
I live in hope. I live in hope. And that's fine. You're allowed to like it. For me, it was the weakest one of the 8 so far, but that doesn't make it a terrible episode. It was just, as I say, a bit bland. So all that remains is me to thank my two guests for discussing the Witchfinders with me.
You're welcome.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you to you, the audience, for listening to us this week. And all that remains to be said is that I've been Rain. Thank you for listening to Doctor Who Reviews, and join us next time for It Takes You Away. Until then, bye for now.
So is it time for the threesome yet? Look, I have an elephant waiting. We have to hurry up and get to it, okay?